First contact deception. The vast expanse of space stretched before Admiral Kresh's viewport, countless stars twinkling against the cosmic darkness. His vessel, the Celestial Dominance, led the Zephyrian Empire's 7th Fleet, the most advanced collection of warships ever assembled in the known galaxy. The Admiral's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of satisfaction among his species. "Status report on the target system," he commanded, his resonant voice echoing across the command bridge. Science Director Virtus approached, her translucent skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that reflected her excitement. "The third planet appears to be the only inhabited one, Admiral. Primitive technology. They've barely reached their own satellite." "Interesting," Kresh murmured, stroking the rigid crest that ran from his forehead to the back of his neck. "How primitive are we talking about?" "Their most advanced vehicles still use chemical propulsion. Their global communication network is rudimentary. They have no unified planetary government. We've detected nuclear weapons, but they're shockingly inefficient," Virtus replied, unable to hide her disdain. Admiral Kresh's mandibles clicked together in amusement. "Another easy integration for the Empire, then. These humans will be grateful for our guidance." The Zephyrian Empire had spent millennia expanding their reach across the stars, incorporating thousands of species into their dominion. Some through diplomacy, others through force, but never had they encountered significant resistance. Their technological superiority ensured compliance. "Prepare the standard first contact protocol," he ordered. "Let's give these humans a glimpse of their future masters." Far below on the blue planet, in an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Maya Chen stared intently at the holographic display. The alien fleet had entered the solar system 3 days ago, just as predicted. "They're following the exact approach vector our models anticipated," she noted to her team. "Status of Operation Trojan Horse." Colonel James Harrison nodded, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of his console. "All systems nominal, General. The surface forces are in position, playing their roles perfectly. The orbital decoys are active and broadcasting the appropriate signals." "And the real fleet?" Chen asked, her voice betraying no emotion. "Hidden as planned. Quantum camouflage is operational. As far as the aliens are concerned, we're just another primitive species fumbling with rocket technology," Harrison replied with a slight smile. General Chen allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction. Humanity had been watching the stars for centuries, developing technologies in secret while maintaining a carefully crafted facade of primitive development. When the first alien probe had entered their solar system 50 years ago, they'd been ready. Rather than announcing their true capabilities, Earth's unified shadow government had made a strategic decision: appear weak until they knew more. "It's time for our performance," Chen announced. "Let's show our visitors exactly what they expect to see." The Celestial Dominance moved into high orbit around Earth, flanked by 20 sleek warships arranged in the Empire's traditional intimidation formation. Admiral Kresh stood tall on his command bridge, preparing to address the primitive species below. "Open a planetary broadcast channel," he commanded. "Let's see if they've at least mastered basic communication technology." Moments later, the view screen flickered to life, showing the human male in what appeared to be a ceremonial uniform. The human's expression showed appropriate awe and fear, exactly what Kresh expected. "This is General William Davis of Earth United Defense," the human said, his voice containing a slight tremor. "Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Admiral Kresh smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "I am Admiral Kresh of the Zephyrian Empire, rulers of 3,000 star systems and protectors of galactic civilization. Your planet has been noticed by our Emperor, who graciously offers you the opportunity to join our prosperous domain as a protected territory." The human on screen swallowed visibly. "And if we decline this opportunity?" Kresh's upper eyes narrowed while his lower ones remained fixed on the human. "Then we would be forced to demonstrate why no species has ever declined. Your world is vulnerable, General Davis. There are dangers in this galaxy you cannot imagine. It would be unfortunate if you faced them alone. The human appeared to consult with someone off-screen, then turned back with resignation in his eyes. We request time to inform our world leaders of your offer. You have 12 hours, Kresh stated imperiously. We await your wise decision. As the transmission ended, Commander Lyrex approached the Admiral, her posture deferential. That was easier than expected, Admiral. They seem properly intimidated. Of course, Kresh replied. It's the natural order. Advanced civilizations guide the primitive ones. Send scout ships to their major population centers. Let them see our technology up close. It will help them understand their place. Deep beneath the mountain, General Chen watched the exchange with satisfaction. General Davis played his part perfectly, she noted. Begin Phase 2. Colonel Harrison nodded and activated his secure communication link. All units, commence Operation Submissive Response. I repeat, commence Operation Submissive Response. Across the globe, carefully orchestrated scenes of panic and fear played out for the alien observers. Military forces scrambled in disorganized fashion. Government broadcasts showed emergency meetings. News networks reported on the alien presence with barely contained hysteria. Above the planet, Admiral Kresh observed the chaos with smug superiority. Look at them scurrying about, he remarked to his bridge crew. This species has potential as a labor force. At least, their physical resilience might be useful in the mining colonies. Admiral, interrupted the sensor officer, our scouts report unusual activity in the planet's Arctic region. Several primitive submarines are moving beneath the ice sheets. Kresh waved a dismissive hand. Probably seeking refuge. Let them hide. It makes no difference. The 12 hours passed quickly. When communications resumed, General Davis appeared again, this time flanked by several humans in various attire, presumably their planetary leaders. Admiral Kresh, Davis began, his voice subdued. Earth's nations have discussed your offer and have decided to accept the Zephyrian Empire's protection. Murmurs of approval rippled through the bridge crew. Another successful first contact, another species added to the Empire's growing collection. A wise decision, Kresh replied. Prepare your leadership for our arrival. We will begin the integration process immediately. The first signs that something was amiss came 3 days into the occupation preparations. A Zephyrian scout ship disappeared while surveying the planet's southern ocean. Then another vanished near one of the polar regions. Communications with 2 more became erratic before ceasing altogether. Technical failures, Commander Lyrex suggested. The planet's magnetic field may be interfering with our systems. Admiral Kresh wasn't convinced. Deploy a full battle squadron to investigate. Something doesn't feel right. The battle squadron reported strange energy readings moments before their communications also went silent. When they re-established contact an hour later, their commander seemed confused, reporting system-wide reboots with no explanation. Admiral, Science Director Virtus interrupted, her skin pulsing with alarmed patterns. We're detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet's surface. What kind of energy? Kresh demanded. Unknown, she admitted, her voice tinged with professional embarrassment. It doesn't match any known technology in our database. Before Kresh could respond, the ship's artificial gravity fluctuated. Lights dimmed momentarily, then returned to normal. Status report, he barked. All systems functioning normally. Admiral, replied the engineering officer, but we detected a brief power surge through our external sensors. Origin unknown. Kresh's instincts, honed through centuries of military service, screamed danger. Battle stations. Full defensive protocols. The alarm had barely sounded when every screen on the bridge suddenly displayed the same image. A human female in a uniform different from those they'd seen before. Admiral Kresh, she said calmly, I am General Maya Chen of Earth's Unified Defense Command. I believe there's been a misunderstanding about our planet's capabilities. Kresh stared in disbelief. How are you accessing our secure systems? This is impossible. The human smiled. Not impossible, Admiral. Just unexpected. While General Davis has been keeping you entertained, we've been analyzing your technology. Quite impressive, though somewhat predictable in its architecture. Engineering. Kresh shouted. Cut all external communications. They can't hear you, Admiral, Chen continued. Your ship's systems are temporarily under our control. Don't worry, we'll return them shortly. This is merely a demonstration. As if to prove her point, the lighting throughout the bridge changed color, cycling through various hues before returning to normal. What do you want? Kresh demanded, struggling to maintain his composure. A more honest conversation, Chen replied. One between equals, not between a master and a primitive species. In 1 hour, a vessel will approach your fleet. I suggest you receive its representatives with more respect than you've shown thus far. The transmission ended, and control returned to the ship's systems. Kresh stood motionless, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in distress. Scan the entire solar system, he ordered. Find whatever technology they're using to interfere with our ships. An hour later, sensors detected a vessel rising from Earth's atmosphere. Unlike the primitive rockets they'd observed earlier, this ship moved with impossible grace, its hull composed of materials that partially deflected their scans. That can't be a human vessel, Commander Lyrex whispered, voicing the thought on everyone's mind. The human ship approached the celestial dominance, stopping at a respectful distance. It was smaller than the Zephyrian flagship, but radiated power readings that rivaled their most advanced warships. They're hailing us, reported the communications officer. Admiral Kresh straightened his uniform, composing himself. On screen, General Chen appeared, now seated in what was clearly a ship's command center. Behind her, humans operated controls more advanced than anything the Zephyrians had seen from Earth previously. Admiral Kresh, she began, I think it's time we started over. Welcome to Earth. We're pleased to make first contact with the Zephyrian Empire. Kresh's mandibles clicked in agitation. You deceived us. You presented yourselves as primitive. We presented ourselves exactly as you expected to see us, Chen corrected. Your empire has a reputation that precedes it. We simply wanted to understand your intentions before revealing our true capabilities. And what are your true capabilities? Kresh asked, unable to keep the tension from his voice. Chen smiled. I think a demonstration would be more effective than an explanation. With your permission, we'd like to dock with your vessel. Our diplomatic team is eager to establish proper relations between our peoples. As the transmission ended, Admiral Kresh stared at the human ship hovering outside. For the first time in his long career, he felt uncertainty creep into his mind. The Zephyrian Empire had encountered thousands of species across the galaxy, but none had ever managed to deceive them so thoroughly. What are your orders, Admiral? Commander Lyrex asked quietly. Kresh's eyes focused on the human vessel. Prepare for their arrival, he said finally, and alert the Imperial High Command. Tell them we may have miscalculated. As the human ship maneuvered toward the docking bay, Kresh couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy had suddenly become a much more complicated place. These humans were not what they seemed, and he suspected they had only begun to reveal their secrets. The unexpected alliance. Admiral Kresh stood rigid as the airlock doors slid open, revealing 5 humans in sleek uniforms that seemed to shimmer with embedded technology. His security team flanked him, weapons not drawn but hands hovering near them, a precaution that now seemed woefully inadequate given what they'd witnessed of human capabilities. General Chen led the delegation, extending her hand in what Kresh's cultural briefing identified as a human greeting gesture. Admiral, thank you for receiving us. Kresh reluctantly touched his palm to hers. You've left me little choice, General. Your demonstration was quite effective. A necessary precaution, Chen replied unapologetically. History has taught us that perceived weakness invites aggression. We preferred to assess your intentions before revealing ourselves. The delegation moved to the conference room, where a male human with silver-streaked hair stepped forward. Dr. Marcus Reed, director of Earth's Advanced Technologies Division. He introduced himself. I believe we should start with an explanation of what you've experienced. That would be appreciated, Kresh said dryly, his four eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of agitation among his species. Reed activated a small device on his wrist, projecting a hologram more sophisticated than anything in the Zephyrian arsenal. It showed Earth with various technological signatures highlighted across its surface and orbiting space. For the past century, humanity has operated under what we call the deception doctrine, Reed explained. When we first detected signs of interstellar civilizations, we realized we were technological infants compared to what might exist among the stars. Rather than announcing ourselves and potentially becoming targets, we developed along two parallel paths. The hologram shifted, showing two Earth timelines side by side. The public face of human development, chemical rockets, primitive satellites, nuclear fission, was deliberately maintained to appear non-threatening, Reed continued. Meanwhile, we channeled our true technological advancement underground, focusing on quantum computing, directed energy systems, and material science. Science Director Virtus leaned forward, her translucent skin pulsing with patterns of intense curiosity. But our scans detected none of this. How did you conceal such advancement? Dr. Reed smiled. That's where our technological paths diverged most significantly from yours. While the Zephyrian Empire pursued elegant efficiency in your technology, we humans have always been messier in our approach. He enlarged the hologram to show the internal schematics of what appeared to be a human spacecraft. Our quantum masking technology doesn't try to hide energy signatures, it drowns them in noise. Your scanners detected the noise and dismissed it as planetary background radiation. Admiral Kresh's mandibles clicked in reluctant admiration. Primitive but effective. And our systems. How did you penetrate our security so easily? Not easily, corrected another human, a woman with dark skin and intricate braids. Dr. Amara Okonkwo, Cyber Systems Director. Your technology is impressive, Admiral, but it follows logical patterns we were able to analyze. While you were scanning our planet, we were reverse engineering your communication protocols. Kresh turned to General Chen. What do you want from us, General? If your intent was to humiliate the Empire. Not at all, Chen interrupted. We seek understanding, not conflict. Earth has no interest in galactic domination. We simply want to ensure our independence and security. And you believe deceiving us achieves that? Commander Lyrex asked, speaking for the first time. It bought us time, Chen replied calmly. Time we needed to determine whether the Zephyrian Empire would be a threat or a potential ally. Admiral Kresh sat back, his crest flattening slightly in contemplation. And what conclusion have you reached? Before Chen could answer, an urgent alert sounded from both the Zephyrian communication system and, surprisingly, from devices carried by the humans. Dr. Reed checked his wrist display, his expression darkening. It seems our discussion will have to wait, he said, looking up at Kresh. Are you detecting the same anomaly we are? 2 light years out, approaching rapidly. Science Director Virtus rushed to a nearby console. Confirmed. Multiple vessels dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Configuration unknown. Not matching any Empire designs. General Chen and Admiral Kresh exchanged glances, momentary adversaries suddenly facing a common unknown. The Scourge, whispered Commander Lyrex, her voice barely audible. You know who they are? Chen asked sharply. Admiral Kresh's complexion paled slightly. Rumors. Stories from the outer territories. Ships disappearing. Colonies going silent. He turned to Virtus. How many vessels? 17. No, 23, she reported, her skin pulsing with alarmed patterns. Size and energy signatures suggest capital ships. Their trajectory indicates they're heading directly for this system. Dr. Reed glanced at General Chen, who gave him a subtle nod. Admiral, he said, turning to Kresh. "We've been tracking these entities for several months. They've systematically destroyed 3 uninhabited systems at the edge of what you call Empire space. We believe Earth is their next target." "And you didn't think to share this information earlier?" Kresh demanded. "We were planning to," Chen responded coolly. "It's part of why we reveal ourselves now. These entities, you call them the Scourge, represent a threat to both our peoples." Admiral Kresh paced the conference room, his tactical mind racing. "My fleet alone cannot repel an attack of this magnitude. I need to contact Imperial High Command for reinforcements, which would take days to arrive," Dr. Okonkwo pointed out. "Based on their current speed, these vessels will reach Earth within 12 hours. Chen's expression remained determined. "We have defenses, Admiral. Significant ones. But our models suggest that even combined with your fleet, we face difficult odds." "Are you proposing an alliance, General?" Kresh asked, his 4 eyes fixed intently on her. "I'm proposing survival," she replied simply, "for both our peoples." For several moments, Admiral Kresh was silent, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. To ally with a species that had so thoroughly deceived them went against every protocol in Imperial doctrine. Yet the alternative, facing the Scourge alone, was unthinkable. "Very well," he finally said. "How do you suggest we proceed?" General Chen nodded to Dr. Reed, who expanded his holographic display to show the Earth system. "These are our defensive positions," he explained, highlighting various points around the planet and throughout the solar system. "What you've seen of our technology is only the beginning." Over the next several hours, humans and Zephyrians worked side by side, integrating their defense systems and developing a strategy to confront the approaching threat. Admiral Kresh was both impressed and unsettled by the humans' technological capabilities. Their approach was indeed fundamentally different from the Empire's. "Your ships," he remarked to Dr. Reed as they reviewed the tactical displays, "they lack the elegant efficiency of our designs." Reed nodded. "Intentionally so. We build with redundancy in mind, multiple systems performing the same function in different ways. Where your ships are precision instruments, ours are more like fortresses," Kresh finished. "Inelegant but difficult to disable completely." "Exactly. Different evolutionary paths in technology. You refined and perfected. We diversified and adapted." As the Scourge fleet drew nearer, the combined human-Zephyrian forces took their positions. The Celestial Dominants and the remainder of the 7th Fleet formed the outer defensive perimeter, while Earth's previously hidden fleet, vessels that had been cloaked within the asteroid belt and behind various moons, moved into supporting positions. From the Joint Command Center established aboard the Celestial Dominants, Admiral Kresh and General Chen watched as the first wave of Scourge vessels appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were massive asymmetrical constructs that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, creating the unsettling impression of moving voids in space. "All ships, hold positions," Kresh ordered. "Let them come to us." The Scourge vessels advanced methodically, apparently unconcerned by the defensive formation before them. As they closed distance, the lead ships began emitting energy pulses that disrupted communications between the Allied vessels. "They're using some form of quantum interference," Dr. Okonkwo reported, her fingers dancing across her control panel. "Attempting to isolate our ships from each other. Standard Imperial tactic, divide and conquer," Kresh noted with growing concern. "Our fleet is vulnerable to this approach." To his surprise, General Chen smiled. "Fortunately, human technology isn't." Dr. Okonkwo, activate the quantum mesh. Across the human fleet, devices activated simultaneously, creating a web of entangled particles that maintained communications despite the Scourge's interference. Information flowed freely between human vessels and through them to their Zephyrian allies. "Remarkable," murmured Science Director Virtus. "They're using quantum entanglement as a communication backup." The battle began in earnest as the Scourge fleet closed to weapons range. Their first volley of energy weapons struck the Zephyrian defensive line with devastating effect, disabling 3 cruisers almost instantly. "Their weapons are calibrated to our shield frequencies," Commander Lyrex exclaimed. "How could they know?" "They've encountered your technology before," Chen stated grimly. "Admiral, your ships need to fall back and recalibrate." Kresh hesitated only briefly before giving the order. As the Zephyrian vessels pulled back, the human fleet moved forward, their seemingly cruder hulls absorbing the Scourge's energy attacks with surprising resilience. "Their weapons are less effective against our polythermic alloys," Dr. Reed explained. "Now, Admiral, show them what the Empire's finest can do." The Zephyrian ships, having rapidly adapted their shield frequencies, rejoined the battle with renewed effectiveness. For the first time, the Scourge vessels showed signs of confusion, their coordinated attack pattern fragmenting as they faced 2 different technological approaches simultaneously. "They can't optimize against both our defense systems at once," Chen noted with satisfaction. "Dr. Reed, deploy the phase disruptors." From concealed positions throughout the solar system, human automated platforms activated, emitting focused beams that intersected with the Scourge vessels. Where the beams crossed, space itself seemed to distort. "What are those devices doing?" Kresh asked, watching as 3 Scourge ships began to drift, their systems apparently disabled. "Creating localized phase irregularities," Reed explained. "It temporarily shifts their matter partially out of sync with our reality. Not enough to remove them completely, but enough to disrupt their systems." Admiral Kresh stared at the human scientist in shock. "You can manipulate phase states. The Empire's best minds theorize such technology, but we never." "Sometimes being primitive has advantages," Chen said. "We approach problems from angles your civilization might have discarded generations ago." The battle raged for hours, a deadly dance of adapting technologies and shifting strategies. The combined fleet suffered losses, 7 Zephyrian vessels and 3 human ships destroyed. But the Scourge paid heavily for each advance. The turning point came when Dr. Okonkwo announced she had deciphered the Scourge's command protocols. "They're using a distributed network structure, but there's a primary coordination node. There, the vessel at their formation center." "Can we target it specifically?" Kresh asked, studying the tactical display. "Not conventionally," Reed answered. "It's too well protected by their outer vessels." But he exchanged glances with General Chen, who nodded. "We do have one option. Admiral, we'll need to synchronize our attacks precisely." What followed was the most coordinated assault Admiral Kresh had ever participated in. Human vessels used their phase technology to create temporary corridors through the Scourge formation, while Zephyrian ships fired specialized warheads along these paths. As the warheads approached the command vessel, they released clouds of microscopic robots, a human technology that had been hastily adapted to carry Zephyrian energy signatures. The hybrid attack overwhelmed the Scourge command vessel's defenses. Unable to determine whether to defend against physical or energy threats, its protective systems faltered. Moments later, the ship's core went critical, the resulting explosion rippling outward and disabling the nearest Scourge vessels through some form of sympathetic reaction. With their command structure compromised, the remaining Scourge ships began retreating, some in coordinated groups, others individually. The combined human Zephyrian fleet, though battered, had achieved victory. In the aftermath, as damage reports streamed in and recovery operations began, Admiral Kresh found General Chen on an observation deck, looking out at Earth glowing blue and white against the darkness of space. "Your people fought well," he said, moving to stand beside her. "The Empire owes you a debt." Chen turned to face him. "Does that change how the Empire views us?" Kresh considered the question carefully. "It must. You've proven yourselves to be not just technologically capable but honorable allies." "And what will you report to your Emperor?" "The truth," Kresh replied. "That humanity's approach to technology, while different from our own, has much to teach us. that your defensive capabilities are formidable, and—" he paused, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, "that the galaxy would benefit from cooperation between our peoples rather than conquest." General Chen nodded, satisfied. "And the Scourge? They'll return, you know." "Yes, but next time, they'll face something they've never encountered before: Zephyrian efficiency and human ingenuity working as one." Kresh extended his hand in the human gesture of agreement, not as empire and subject, but as equals. Chen clasped his hand firmly. "Equals," she agreed. As they looked out at the stars together, both leaders knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was larger and more dangerous than either civilization had realized. But together, perhaps they could face whatever came next. In the command center behind them, humans and Zephyrians worked side by side, already sharing knowledge and technology, finding strength in their differences rather than conflict. It was an alliance neither had anticipated, but one that might just change the course of galactic history. And beyond the solar system, the remaining Scourge vessels retreated into the darkness between stars, carrying with them knowledge of something new. 2 different species, with fundamentally different approaches to technology and warfare, who had somehow found a way to combine their strengths. It was a development that would send ripples of concern throughout whatever mysterious civilization had created the Scourge in the first place. The galaxy was changing, and humanity, despite its relative youth among the stars, was already proving to be a catalyst like none other.